All right, so some of the things that we broke in the rally are mud flaps. Started shattering during the first rally. They're completely toast here for the second rally. We've also got another crack up there. Now we do have our racing seats completely in. We do need to make sure that we fix the airbag light and the seatbelt light. I think if the seatbelt shows you're unbuckled, I think the airbag won't deploy. Again, I have a seatbelt and I just don't feel like dying. We do have the harness bar in, so we're not able to add that third support right now. We'll have to go back and do that at another time, but we will at least be able to work with the next rally. So we'll do that. We still need to take the seat out and then put in our new harnesses, so we'll need to put some welded mounts on the bottom so that we have our seat belts coming through here, maybe coming under or around here somewhere, and then bolting down to the floor. Still got to figure all that out. So far, not too much broken, just some wiring issues. This tank we'll be taking out, putting in a smaller one. So not so much broken as an upgrade. The big one is going to be the exhaust. So luckily I had my hitch on during the race, and I was able to throw in an insane amount of safety wire, which I kept snapping pretty much every race. So if we go under here, everything's rusted to shit. We have smashed our resonator, so we'll have to figure out what we're doing there. If we're going to keep the dual tips, I kind of like them because it does keep it a little bit more stock looking, but they have gotten pretty destroyed over the last 5 years. I was going to put an electric release valve or electric bypass valve here, but again, this thing is the stainless, which I don't think was really stainless. Even if it was 410, it really shouldn't have rusted this bad or this quick. You can see it's twisted. There's right before the V-band clamp and right after the cat, there's a hanger. That hanger came disconnected after this hanger snapped, ripped out of the sheet metal. Then there's another hanger over here that also snapped, and then this one that had popped off. So we're either going to scrap it or cut it up and reuse it. But I don't really have a good solution for that yet. But we do need to drop this. We're going to try and get a sway bar fit in here. I thought I could put it in the trunk, but the arms, the tie rods are going to be at a pretty crazy angle in order to make that work, or I have to go right through the frame rail, which I really don't want to do. So in order to potentially get it to work, obviously I need to drop the rear diff, the exhaust, all that kind of stuff. So we'll take a look when all this is out for repairs anyway. Try and do it just one time. You know, we have these somewhat bald kind of rear tires in here. They really, A, need to get replaced, but also when we have our snow tires in the front, we have as much grip as we can really fit in the front. We can't put the snow tires on the rear, because if we do, we end up with too much grip in the rear and it understeers even worse, right? So we keep the bald ones in the rear. We don't even put the good all seasons in the rear. We put the bald ones in the rear so that we can get rotation. Got a lot of rotation last time with pendulum turns. I'd like to increase the grip in the rear to get more straight line speed for acceleration and everything else, take advantage of the all-wheel drive. But at the same time, I still want to be able to get that rotation in. So I think I could increase the linear grip with better tires and then kind of decrease the lateral grip a little bit to improve rotation, still while keeping better tires. So that's my plan, sway bar and better tires. Put in a light. So right now that light has got 3 zip ties on each side, just using that to control rotation and everything. I'd like to get that permanently mounted. Right now it works, and the next night rally isn't for a few months, so I can really just take it out. It's temporarily wired in. Here's our wiring. So it's all tucked into the battery really shittily, then thrown in, and there's a switch over by the driver's seat and the cup holder. So I want to get those wired into the trigger on the fog lights, so when I twist the key or the thing for the fog light to hit the switch or whatever, it automatically powers on through sort of an OEM switch. Worked really, really well. I could see everything left and right and center with those. The headlights already being HIDs helped a lot, but really I just got a massive improvement from that. That was kind of the main stuff that broke, really just exhaust and exhaust related items. But there's a lot of improvements that I think we can make, and I think that we should make prior to the next race. One of them is going to be the power steering. Power steering works really, really inconsistently. and I absolutely hate it because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it overheats, sometimes it doesn't. Even with the vents, it's gotten more consistent, but it didn't work at the last race except for maybe 3 minutes of the couple of hours of actual running time that the engine had. So that's one thing. We've changed this, but we don't have any sort of fill gauge indicator. So we do have to unscrew this to see the level. And even then it's a little hard to tell, right? So I also did notice this was covered in coolant and had shot the coolant up into the hood, likely because the relief hole here is on the top and it's just kind of fire streaming up. So I also want to get a drain hooked up there and have that drain down. I left the old hose here just so I could pretty easily connect that whenever that's finished. So I basically just committed to keeping that. It's hose clamped in place onto a steel bar with a rubber cut up hose as a bit of a vibration damper and keep that from wearing. I just have a Google Keep list, which of course is filled with everything. I can turn up the brightness there. Pretty much everything I need to do, right? So it's got my new theoretical trunk layout that I'm working in. Hopefully get that set up, or at least partially set up today. Resecure water lines under the car. So the water lines in the car got kind of messed up. They're also hanging off of, or connected with fuel lines and brake lines, so other things I don't want to break. Also need to go through and check all the engine oil, transmission oil, transfer case, rear diff, and coolant levels. Coolant's good. I kind of re-burped that. That was very helpful. There's a hole in the mini floor, tail light that's burnt out, and I want to get it weighed. Then I have to fix the airbag and the seatbelt wiring. I still have to install the new seatbelt with the reinforcing plates. I need to install potentially new brake pads and rotors. I also need to remove the ABS module because it doesn't work, and I don't think I'm going to end up fixing it. I think I'm just going to junk it. And then I've got a brake bias valve that I'll need to put in so that I can actually lower the front brake pressure and increase the rear brake pressure. And hopefully, because the brakes in the rear are undersized, the brakes in the front are oversized. So I think by doing that, I can shift the balance to the rear a bit more, and kind of cause a little bit of extra rotation in there without necessarily having to yank on the handbrake, which I kind of prefer not to do. So, and then build a protection channel for all the lines under the car so that they don't get smashed up by the dirt and grounding out or bottoming out or jumps like we had last time. Of course, the mud flaps. And then there's other improvements like getting a locking center diff through the viscous coupler eliminator. Then there's obviously the speedometer and the tacho fix that we need to do. So we're going to try and do all of that over the next several videos, which is probably going to take like 2 to 3 weekends or so of actual work. And of course, 3 weekends from now is the next race. So it's all just, and it's a 2-day race, so it's all just nuts. And then also fixing weight distribution, which we had mentioned previously. A lot of stuff on the list. I guess just get to work. All right, now that sounded all great and fun and good, but we only got a couple of those things done before the race, and we're gonna make some more videos on that stuff, but let's skip forward to the race. Here's the 2-day event. Let's get into it. I think that was my fastest run, and I think it was clean. I sure hope so. So I guess keeping it in second's what I actually need, even though I want to be in first. I don't know why. Alright, buckled up, plugged in. Well, not well on that one. Time to start packing up. Have I think a closeout driver's meeting since we're the last heat, and that was it. We'll figure out how we did. Thanks for watching, subscribing, liking, and commenting on my videos. That's a great way to help support the channel. If you want to crank your support up a notch, consider becoming a patron over on Patreon. You get early access to videos, and you get to have your name immortalized here in the video, and I hope that you consider joining them. Alright, thanks for watching the video, everybody. Make sure to stay safe and be healthy, and of course, keep modding your cars.